Hey guys, it's Saru. With the release of Swords of Legends Online, there has come so many questions in my comments about how things worked. So, I figured I'd do a little series on how things work exactly in order to help you guys with this. I know the game can be a little overwhelming, and with this video, we'll start with the UI and the elements around it, and how to use your systems a little bit. So, let's get right into it. Before I begin, this video is sponsored by BenQ. BenQ has been an awesome company that's created some of the most absolutely best monitors in the entire world for gaming. When you look for some of the most innovative monitors for gaming, projectors, and more, BenQ is usually one of the names that actually pops up. The nice people over at BenQ actually sent me this amazing brand new screen bar monitor light lamp that has just released recently, and it has done wonders for my eyes. All you have to do is place it over your monitor and voila. When playing Swords of Legends Online at night, my eyes are more focused and they don't feel as tired thanks to the cool colors that are available, as well as the auto dimming sensor and the neat looking brightness that actually doesn't affect my monitor whatsoever with the screen reflections. I know that when I'm using a lamp or something, one of the biggest things that bothers me is the light reflection for the gleams, and this does not do that whatsoever. Or even the space itself. I mean, when you look at it, you don't really notice it at all. So, a special thanks to BenQ, and if you're interested in this screen bar, you can check it out in the description below. So, Swords of Legends, it's finally into its first week of a release, and there are a lot of questions on how things work. So hopefully this will help you guys. Now, if you look at the bottom right of the corner of the UI, this is what we're going to start with. We're going to start with character. You can press C to initiate the section, or you could go here. From there, you'll see your gear and all that, and we'll actually get to that a little bit afterwards. One of the biggest questions I get is how to play the Zither, and here in the artifact section, you can get just that. You can drag it to your quick bar if you wish, and from there, you could just simply activate it, and then you can click on this button here, and then press on the search button. From there, you can select any song that a player has uploaded, or just normal songs in general, and you can right click and save it if you want, so you can kind of keep it in your favorites, or you could just play it. Now, you can play this manually by just pressing the buttons that you want, kind of like one of those cool games, or you can press on the manual buttons, all of them, and it'll turn into automatic, and it will allow the game to play it for you. You can also make it stop if you wish by pressing the square button. So we'll go to the third section of the character UI, and from here you'll notice all PvP related things, whether it's things like what you can unlock, how much spirit and PvP things you have, and so on and so forth. But here's where it gets cool. If you actually go back to the first section with the character placement, you'll notice your gear is all there. Now you can see what you have, what you don't, and you can press this eyeball icon to actually remove the cosmetics from it. So if you have a hair piece you don't really want to show off, you can do that. You can also see by pressing on the upgrade arrow right here how to get everything that you need, from gemstones, where to get them, how to do it, seal stones, how to upgrade, how to use your talismans, and so on and so forth. It's right here all in front of you for you guys. Now, one of the cool things for this section is actually the blueprints for me. In MMOs, usually when you have a piece of gear and you equip it, it's still technically in your inventory, and not here. That's not how it works here. If you add it to your blueprint, it's actually there, and that's kind of like saving up space for you, really. And you can easily switch it up if you want to, or rename it to wherever you want. So for me, I have PvE and PvP sections, and you can also click on the stats part to actually include additional stats on your character if you want to see them. For example, this tenacity PvP stat, or if I remove something like haste, it won't show. If I put it back on, it will. And of course, you have your titles, your accolades that you can add to your names, some of which you'll get through events, some through either PvP or through leaderboards, or whatever the case. It's right here. Now for the Book of Mysteries, this is quite literally the same as using your mysterious parchments or your pet's crafting section. You can see what you can make and all that stuff. You can also make a condensing shadow to create a real version of your pet in your residence, and that's pretty much just it. I mean, in it you can purchase gear and items that may be useful to you, and the more that you use it, the more things that are unlocked in the future. So that's pretty much the same thing. So Book of Mysteries, Mysterious Parchments, and the Pets Crafting section, they're all exactly the same thing. For pets, you can actually press P on this, or you can click here, and this part is interesting. I don't think anybody really knows this. If you click up here where the eye is, you can actually change the color of the outline color for your pets. Now this only works for some pets, of course, but let's say this pet here, you can change this outline color, which will make it work like in the real world. And this neat little trick for you guys to know is just kind of if you want to be a little more unique. So if you want to change it blue or green or whatever you really want to change it to kind of match your colors, that's for you guys. Astral Essence. Now if you click here or press N, at Astral Astral points received, you'll see the basic and advanced versions. It will tell you how much XP you need until the next point for Astral Essences. I think a lot of players have asked me how to get XP, how to know when you're going to get another point, and so on and so forth. So you can basically click here and find out when you're going to get your next point. You can also click on show attributes to kind of show what you've gotten from this. As for how to get Astral XP, you can actually get it from pretty much all of your cultivations and your biographies and other locations when you press J. And usually when you hover over in cultivation right here, you'll see like this random one, for example, it will give you 20 Astral Essence per completion, which is usually around 20 anyways. For skills, you can press K or go to the next section here, and well, that's your skill and emotes, and as well as mounts. I don't think you really need any tutorial for this, and if you do, I suggest you redo the game entirely, but it's pretty much everything you need to know about your skills, about your mounts, about your emotes, and other consumables that you can probably use. For your combination tool, this part is actually pretty cool because you can pretty much create your ideal gear set that you're looking for, call it whatever you want, and see exactly where to get the gear from. For example, sometimes it will tell you, sometimes it won't from the gear source. So if I want to use this star access or I want to kind of get it in the future, it says I can get it from the Book of Mysteries, which we just went over. So it's a cool little tool to kind of combine gear, find out what exactly fits for you, if it gives you the right stats that you're looking for, kind of meta chasing your own way. So if you really want to get one specific kind of gear set, you can kind of set it up and be like, okay, this is how I want it. And once you actually have it, you can just apply it to yourself. Next is your Sword Master Adventures. Now you can click Control L also, and this is pretty much just kind of a checklist of things to do in the chapters of the game and receive extra rewards for it, such as League reputation, currencies for other shops, and even crystal dust for your cash shop. It's a simple way to kind of farm League prestige and other things. It's not necessary to do it, but you're going to do it anyway, so you might as well get rewarded for it. And of course your quest logs, which is kind of the same thing as the Swordmaster Adventures, but it's just your normal ordinary quest logs, which you can press L for, and you can see the mission sections in your quest tracker, and you should know what this is in an MMORPG, and if you don't, it's basically just tracking your current quests that you have activated. Next is Biographies, which you should end up knowing what this is, and if you don't know what this is basically just lore quests that you can do and you get lots of XP and rewards from, so that's all it is. Now for crafting, you can either use a location like in Cloudrise or craft by yourself, like if you want to use some PV Sealstones too, which if you're not sure how to do, you can check out my video on how to do that, or really anything on the fly, you can just kind of craft it yourself. This can also be done for your bag, which is the next section, which you can pretty much process and refine materials in order to use them for crafting either gear pieces or even fancy inventory bags for extra space. You can also technically craft some gear for your companions, which we'll get into a little bit afterwards. Then you have cooking, which for some reason is here, but I don't know why. You can use it, it's under the same section, and it's not really as important because you need to be near a hub regardless, but at least you can see the recipes, I guess, so that's a thing. And of course the Gold of the Four Seas, which is usually on weekends, and it's a fishing event that you'll be able to partake in Cloudrise, and that's pretty much all that needs to be said about this. Now lastly in this section is the Ancestral Records. You can also press Ctrl Y and see where you'll be able to find your Blood Ruvia banner, your shock arrow for that, your turquoise lantern to go to the underworld, your treasure compass, or even other little buffs that you can use in this section. Now for Leisureland, you can press Ctrl X, you can see all the things that you can do with Leisureland, whether it's doing Shadow Realm, Realm of Truth, Leisureland itself, or other things, as you rank up and you get free cosmetics and other cool rewards, such as pet appearances. Now for your companions, you can select a companion and level them up if you have the right material for them, and from there you'll be able to make them stronger, and with crafting like we just talked about, you can also craft them gear if you really want to. You can actually use them in the open world for a little bit, but you mostly use them for solo dungeons, or you're trying to fill kind of a 10-man dungeon by yourself, and you can fill these up with your companions if you want to. Now Book of Aeons actually kind of ties into the companions, and it's pretty much just gifting and giving stuff to NPCs, and that's pretty much just it. It's not too much. You can go look into it, and if you want, it's not really that interesting. For the Dungeon Codex, which pretty much just talks about the dungeons, what to do, the lore behind it, some of the mechanics that are being done in this dungeon, and so on and so forth. Now you have your cards from Game of Eternity, which I'll go over eventually, but this is basically just the cards section. Now avatars, which actually you can right click on your own avatar to kind of go to the same section, and you can change the banner or image or whatever you want, and I've talked about this in the past, so it's here. Achievements are for achievements, of course. Melodies of Legends is a song system that you'll find in the game sometimes. You'll find a lot of songs in quests or something that you could save these, and then you can use them in your residence, so when people come over, or even if it's just you chilling by yourself in your residence, you can listen to these songs. Books, which is pretty much just the books and pieces of paper that you've collected to tell the story about the lore in the game, and well, that sentence made no no sense, but I wrote it and I'm sticking with it. So yeah, if you want to know more about the story of the game, that's there. Collectibles, which can be treasures, animals, or whatever. This is just kind of treasures in the open world and stuff like that, so you'll be able to collect that. Prestige, which will pretty much tell you how much you're doing in each area. Prestige is pretty important as those area merchants may offer some exciting materials you might require for gearing up or something, or even a pet transformation. And now let's go to PvP. So pretty much this is just the PvP section, either arenas or battlegrounds, nothing major really. You can either go to the LFG or matchmake if you want, and it's as simple as that. You can check out the leaderboard and everything right there. For your player cards, this is actually something that's been asked of me a lot because players got this collection edition and they got these wings and they weren't sure where they went. So it is just kind of a way for players to check you out. If they right click and check your information, you can create a little player card for people to look at you. You can actually fully customize this, and you can get the pieces either through the cash shop rewards or through in-game rewards or events, and that's basically how you get that. With Recruitment or Control Z, this will allow you to queue up for any instance or create an LFG for players. Just make sure to close up the difficulty pop-up that actually, well, pops up in order to actually multi-queue, because if you set up the difficulty for, let's say, Yemo, and then you go to another thing, the Yemo pop-up will still be there, so it won't work. So you have to close that and then make sure to go to the next one to actually multi-queue. Alliances, or pressing H, that's your guild system. These are guilds that are in the game or alliances that can completely help you out if you really want to. The mentor system, or Control O, this is your mentor and apprentice system. Basically, you can mentor somebody or you can be the apprentice of somebody and earn rewards as you play with them quite a bit, and that's pretty much just it. When you press O, that's your friends list, so it's closer to the mentor system, and you can add people or block them or whatever. And finally, the interface system. I think this is one of the highly requested things, but basically if you press escape or go down here, you can head over to the interface settings and adjust every piece of UI feature you have, from size to location. So for example, if I want to move this Mastery Essence, I can just drag it and save it, and there you go. Now you can also click on the gear icon next to your skill bars, and it will actually quickly head into the interface, so you don't really have to do so many steps. So that's pretty much just it for that, really. Now for some more UI customization. If you go up here, you'll see something that kind of looks like a clover at the top left corner. You can add options here such as blocking pop-ups, as well as other things. You will notice the text looks incredibly weird at first, and this will be fixed as soon as you load into another zone or something. So you can easily hide players through this system, which I recommend if you're doing hard modes or something that really your frames are pretty much being affected on, which should be pretty much everything at this point. But next to it, you can see the picture style if you've added it, and you can adjust the way you see the game, whether it's a pre-made style or your own like this. For me, I like soft. And of course, for your login to cultivation, which you can just press J for your cultivation. So for this last part, I think it's been asked quite a bit about, and it's either how to get the DPS meter out or how to redeem codes or whatever the case. So we're going to talk about all this. So under the mini map, you'll see certain buttons, starting with the clothing icon, and with this, it's simply the cash shop. You can press U or go to the bottom right, but basically we'll talk about it afterwards and some cool things you might not know about the cash shop. Next to it is the gifting icon, which you can pretty much press to redeem a code that you might find around, either through a Gameforge partner or who knows. And finally, it's the Dragonstar guide, which basically kind of is just a guide for the game and telling you how things work. So we're going to be talking about finally the combat stats and threat meter. This is basically your average DPS meter, healing meter, aggro meter, and so on and so forth. You can set it up for current monsters or total monsters in the dungeon or wherever you are really, and this will allow you to look at your skills, what you've used, when, and all that. You just simply click on combat stats and you can set it up from there. Now next to that is a really cool system called the Captain's Assistant. I think everyone's asked how to use this because it's very confusing. So first of all, you need to actually turn this on by going to the first menu and then clicking on the gear icon, or else it won't work. From there you can start killing monsters or bosses or players, I guess, and see exactly what they used, when, and in what sequence. This can actually help you determine how a boss works or how a player works exactly mechanically, kind of help you either interrupt a skill or to avoid a huge mechanic. See here as I'm fighting this boss Mengdu that the timeline has started, and it's not in real time, which is good because you'd have to re-click it and all that, but basically you just click it once again and it is recording in the background where you'll see a small timeline and you'll see when you click on him. The other cool thing that you can do with this is almost do a shout out. Even when you click on a skill, right click actually, you can create or edit anything that you want. So from here, this specific event with this boss, when he uses this specific skill or event next time, it will create a sound for me, so I'll have an alert for either my team or myself the moment that he does it, or a bit of a delay ahead or before the event. It is particularly cool for wiping mechanics if you're not really into kind of remembering everything, so this is available for you. And then finally you have camera mode with Control P or by pressing this button, and then you can pretty much set it up however you want, from added effects that you can unlock in the game by doing certain quests or events, to advanced settings for lighting or blurriness, to even emotes to pause the action if you really want to get a cool pose and color around. And lastly, under the system is the Dragonstar List, which is pretty much just the rankings in the game, whether it be from money, achievements, alliances, or whatever. It's there and available for you to check. And now for the last thing that I think really nobody knows about, and that's the cash shop. When you press U and you go to the system right here, that though yes, the cash shop is really cool and fair, one of the neat things that I think about it is that you can adjust how big or small the item that you purchase looks like. For example, my lantern, I click on this arrow right here and I can move it wherever I want, of course within a certain section, but it's here. So this yin and yang circle, for example, even though it's supposed to be right on my back, I can actually have it, if not really, floating behind my head. And it actually looks cooler like this, to be honest, if you set it up like this. So I'll probably get this in some future. It's actually how I set up my moon and bear back accessory that we got for the logins. So that's pretty cool for me if you want to kind of set that up, move that in. That includes for your masks or really anything in the cash shop. Of course, there are some limitations, so just figured I'd let you guys know. So hopefully these tips helped you guys with the UI and a quick rundown on how the systems work in the game. And if you're not really sure just yet, let me know in the comments below and we can actually talk about it. And once again, a special thanks to BenQ for sponsoring this video and sending me this cool monitor lamp that has helped my eyes quite a bit. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and click that adorable f***ing bell to know when I upload a brand new video. And don't forget to come join my Discord if you want to chat and hang out. Much love, and as always, till next time, friends.